Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you for tuning in and connecting today. I'm very excited. We've got an all-new session today with Paul Weisbart, and we are going to be talking about scalar alchemy tuning and the Stillpoint and the yogic method for actually creating a subtle, whole-body, life-changing approach to shifting your life and making everything better. And indeed, activating this new season on Earth in a neutral, balanced way. We're also going to understand what is the yogic technology of Stillpoint, what does it do, and what is the role of something that we probably haven't talked about at all this season called cell memory. What is the issue of that? What does cell memory have to do with our healing, with continual pains, with injuries that don't go away? How do we actually unwind or maybe even neutralize cellular memories, and is it possible to do this with scalar energy? Well, our guest today is Paul, and he works alongside his beautiful wife, Lily, so we always like to incorporate her in the call today, but it's just going to be Paul, and he's the developer with Lily of the Stillpoint life-changing subtle yogic approach that welcomes in challenges and arrives us at this new season here on planet Earth using technologies, wholeness, consciousness, and some of the most amazing tools available. They're the inventors of something called the scalar wave laser, but also other transformational technologies, superfood formulas that are designed to activate the glands and the subtle yogic states. They travel the planet offering seminars, retreats to help others access Stillpoint for health, longevity, and the full flowering of consciousness. They're authors also of the forthcoming Stillpoint collection, and their patented scalar wave laser technology has been featured in their first book, Stillpoint Laser, Unwind and Dissolve into the Quantum Field. And I want to share a few stories because we've got a few. One of them is brand new. I want to share from someone named CP, and I've even got my own story. CP was somebody who decided to try one of these brand new devices, and she said this: I was invited to try one in less than 20 minutes on Unwind. I could feel the energy moving through my body. I turned my head and it made a series of clicks. The kink that I had in my neck and shoulder for over a month was gone. And then she said my chiro and my masseuse were not able to get rid of it in over a month of trying. This happened in less than 20 minutes with this technology. Then she says, today's the day after. I can hardly take in how different my body feels. My spine feels open. I feel taller, and places in my foot and nerve impingement are coming back to life. Amazing. Amazing. So what I want to do is discover what is going on, and we're also going to be giving you a taste of this Stillpoint. This is Paul's beautiful energy. You're going to feel it as we welcome Paul onto the call today, a UL's Revolution. Paul, welcome back, my friend.
Aloha. Aloha. Thanks, Aries. It's nice to be with you and your tribe again, so it's nice to be here.
Yeah, it's a beautiful space to always have you. For people that don't understand the Stillpoint approach, and what it really means on the planet right now, fill us into that, because it's more than just an idea. It's actually a way of being, a way of welcoming in something very new and beautiful.
Yeah. It's the Stillpoint. For folks that are new, the Stillpoint process it's kind of the underlying essence of all the different products that we have developed over the years. Our background is in seminars, and my background kind of goes back to yogic experience, and so the essence of all the different things we're going to discuss today kind of center around the simple principle of understanding how we, for the yogis, I learned from kind of the quintessential message that I came away from was we have to understand our attention. And so in this world, the play of the world, we have to kind of have a perpetual reference that we're here in this world, and yet this is a play. And our state of being and our perception are truly what we own. To me, that is the thing that in every moment here I try to stay cognizant of. That's the jewel, right? That's the gift that we have. And right now, I often share in our seminars and different calls and have here before that, a lot of the ancient peoples around the planet, the Mayans, the Hopi, the folks in India, the different ancestors and elders, and even the religions, they all understand that we go through different seasons here on planet Earth, like we do on the physical. We go through these shift of the ages, which are like we do. Our planet goes around the sun, our star goes around the galaxy and universe, and so as it goes through different sections, the physics change. Literally, like the planet when it's far, it's cold, winter, and when it's close, it's warm in summer. Yeah. And our star, when it's in certain areas far away from the center of the galaxy, it's a more linear kind of dimensional experience. It's more diffracted, and in that situation, people identify the experience of being that they're not connected from the universe and their being. They have the personality and then as the shift of the season happens, we come back to the center, and people start to integrate their entire reality again as not diffracted and distinct from who they are. They're the larger connection as a cosmic experience. And so, but either way, the key in navigating either of those kind of situations is our perception and the reference of who we are as a being who's visiting here on planet Earth for a moment. And since we're only here for a moment and in the larger span of things. And so the yogis, I learned from kind of the basic essence of it is the planet and the outer phenomena of the outer conditions of things are vying for our attention in every moment. And so whether it's the news or the clothing or the sales or the food it's like a perpetual attempt to grab the attention. And so for me, early on, I kind of was very drawn to East yogic practice and meditation, and spent many years cultivating and withdrawing my attention, the attention from the outer things that people identify with, the relationships and the job and this identification and from this country, and all these things are simply identifications, which the more people put their attention on them, the more their attention is not available to be in the more intrinsic state, which to me begins with bliss. Bliss is the transformative kind of situation that begins to bring the attention and purify the attention and begin to bring it back into our essential state. And so Stillpoint, which we're going to give a reference of how to drop in, how to cultivate, is to me the approach that I take navigating life, particularly as last 10, 15 years has been a perpetual acceleration as we hit that moment where they said we began the formal transition into the new age, new season, and now it's very strong here. There's a lot of polarized situations, which is all kind of natural for when things are in the beginning, right about to shift into a whole different thing. And so the key is to be able to not get too polarized, to carve out space every day, and that's what we're going to try to focus on here. Is doing that.
Yeah, I love that. And, one of the ways that you do that, I know in your life, and people are going to start to notice this because Paul will drop in, is dropping into Stillpoint. In this season, it's so important. Tell us about that and maybe get that started for us, because it's going to be a beautiful theme, I know, through this call. Yeah,
it's so it kind of happened a moment ago. I'm not sure if anyone felt kind of a shift, a kind of for me it happens, and I'll walk through how to do it. It's a very simple process for folks that have been with us for a while. It's the attention settling and just landing in what I call a neutral state or still point. Some people call the space between the breath or still point. There's different names out there, though. So for new folks, if you take a nice breath in and then just breathe out and totally let it out, let it go, relax. Now take another nice breath in, and now this go around, stop at the top, and just kind of hold for a moment. Feels like holding the breath. Just rest. It feels like holding the breath. Don't hold the breath. Let the breath keep going like it does when you rest. at night or when you rest, breath does its own thing. Yet you stay here in space between the breath. Good. You can just kind of hold that place. I can't say this enough. What you notice while you're resting here, try to hold a thought or an emotion. It's not so easy. This is the neutral state, and in this state, it's not so easy, from my perspective, to hold on to things. So all those things that people hold on to, physical, cell memory, injuries, tension, emotional stuff, psychic stuff, people are holding on to all these things. They don't have to hold on to all these things. Babies aren't holding on to things. Babies arrive here and they're like neutral. That's why everybody loves it. Even hardened people, they're like, "Oh, baby, it's neutral. It came right in from where we all came from."
Yes. Yes. So what you're doing,
and so
Paul,
this is going to. We'll come back here throughout the. Okay. Every so often, you'll hear me just say, "Take a breath, drop in." We're going to use this as a reference. For me, I use this. This is the reference of I organize my reality around this place. I'm sorry, Darius. Please go ahead.
Oh, no, it was just that idea of, you've called it the space between the breath, right? Because we're kind of like breathing in and then we're expiring, and it's sort of like we're living and dying and moving through this process, but there's this space where just nothing is happening, but everything is happening, right? Can you elaborate on that? Because I love that. I love that idea, and you've taught me that.
Yeah. So it's, so many traditions have references to this state where you're doing and not doing. There's like this, and to me, Stillpoint, this is kind of the doorway. It's not the be all and end all for me at all, but it's the doorway to dissolve it on the threshold between the external things that are happening and so the yogi looks at the external states, right? On one hand, outer phenomena are like the outside things, right? Like the world, the different things happening, nature, all these things are outside of our experience. They're outside. So then the yogi looks at the emotional body, the astral, right, or the physical or the psychic. Those are external to the yogi also, right? The internal condition starts when you collapse all those different vibrations and frequencies. They're waves, right? Yogis say people come to them and they have all these different waves going on, right? It could be an injury or an emotion or stress, or they're considering this, or they're concerned about. They're all little they're waves. And Stillpoint, what Stillpoint does, again, everyone take a nice breath in, stop right at the top, whoosh, neutral. Stillpoint says to all those different waves, hey, we're not those waves. A lot of people, most of these different cell memories, or yogis call them karmas, some people call them impressions, they happen as a little baby doesn't have that stuff going on. They're at ease. Then they start to pick up on from someone around them bumps into them, or there's someone's not nice or something, and then the baby starts to contract to that, or and along the way they start to develop these little impressionary reactions to things, which eventually can contract that neutral state into a fixated personality kind of situation.
Yeah.
And so our goal, from my perspective, in my life, every day, and I don't say, to me, every day is for me, a dance. Every day is hey, what am I going to bump into here on planet Earth, and how do I make sure I can unravel it so that I can steward my condition? See, when we're in this state of being, one other thing I didn't mention, notice, take that, but you can do it at the top of the breath, you can do it at the bottom, or for me, it's like a lens on a camera. I don't even use the breath. I just I just kind of go, and so when I get back to this intrinsic state of Stillpoint, notice something while you rest here. Not only do you not hold things easily, does it kind of feel good?
Oh, yeah. Feels like...
It kind of feels nice, right? It feels a little bit like bliss.
Yeah.
So here's the secret to Stillpoint. Stillpoint studies show, they studied yogis, and they found that when yogis are resting here, a bunch of things happen. One thing, they have more oxygen. You actually get more oxygen because when you relax, cells open up and start to absorb oxygen. Another thing that happens is it starts to turn on nitric oxide in the body. And nitric oxide is like, they call it the bliss molecule, or it's this molecule that like induces kind of like the stuff they give you, nitrous oxide, where you get a little laughing. Nitric oxide is like the cousin. It doesn't knock you out, but it just blisses you out just a little bit. So to me, this state is how I collapse the different oscillations every day that the world is trying to press onto me, and it's the doorway or the entryway into the subtler realms, where the yogis refer to bliss and joy and light and happiness and love, and those are the subtler states. So it's like, at the end of the day, our condition is kind of like a tuner, and we can either have the world tune us to all the different stuff that's going on and this and that, or other people outside. And to me, what I learned from yogis was, the yogi I was with would say, Americans are always horizontal, meaning in sympathy, right? When you're horizontal to things, someone gets upset, you get upset. Everyone's responding to everybody else. Right. Yeah. The key to the yogic practice is to go vertical, so that our attention is not, who cares? Stuff's going on out here, that's great. Our condition is determined by the subtler states of our being and what we're expressing here on planet Earth.
Wow. I love that. I mean, I want to ask people, what are you feeling right now? Because Paul has this energy. You can notice I'm talking different. We're all kind of in this entrainment of energy, which is this still point that you've said very clearly induces bliss. But one of the ways that you've also done this is through creating technologies, right, that bring this bliss deep into the body, deep into injuries, deep into traumas. Tell people a little bit about that, and folks, share with us what you're feeling too.
Yeah, that's great. That's such a So basically, all the things I really wanted to just meditate in my life. I didn't plan on getting into all making things. But I kind of got nudged by the people I was around that I trusted, yogis, and to kind of do some things. And so what we do is we make things that, from my perspective, the primary thing that everything we're going to convey does is to very gently to induce still point. So everything I make, I use it on me first to induce a shift, dissolution into the still point state. And then the newer things that I'm making are designed to tune different types of subtle alchemy and bliss to help as tools. I mean, it's not so different than lots of different yogis and traditions and shamans. They use things, right? They used smoke, or they used different kinds of stones, or different kinds of earth, different things to help shift dimensions and shift physics. Well, we're just using very subtle technology. And I'll give you just a little kind of, my background was in cranial work, cranial sacral therapy, if people are familiar. And so years ago, when I was doing body work, I kind of had a approach that just came naturally to me, which was, I didn't do cranial so much. What I did was I would hold points. People would come to me with knees or discs or whatever that wasn't feeling good, and I'd hold points until I felt the myofascia unwind. And when it unwound, it would then drop into still point. Which is in cranial work, they call it still point, when the cranial rhythm kind of resets. Okay. And so most people in cranial work do it for a moment. They don't really hold it that long. Yet for me, I was like, wow, when I experienced it, I was like, wow, it's kind of bliss. It induced bliss. It was akin to some of the yogic work practice I had done. And so I would hold still point for a long while with people. And what I found, I got busy. People kept coming back. Their issues, their stuff would go away. And so back around then, Deepak had come out with the whole theory of cell memory, which is that someone has an injury or a shock or trauma or whatever it is, and the new cells keep coming in. Old cell is holding on to that shock, that trauma that happened, and new cells keep coming in, and the old cell passes on the cell memory from that shock, that injury, to the new cell then acts and behaves like the old cell. And so cell memory gets passed on from cell generation to cell generation. So when I was doing this, it just made sense to me. It was like, it was kind of like the cassette, right? If anyone ever recalls having a cassette, or you have the info on there. You want to erase it, you hit erase.
Yeah.
What's erase do? It flips the polarity on it, and the neutral information's gone. And so what I was doing, I was cognizant that when people come to me with a knee or a disc, I was doing the cranial rhythm, right? Positive, negative, flexion, extension of the cranial rhythm, and then I'd drop it into neutral, still point. When it got into neutral, boom, information gone. Cell memory gone, everything resets, and so it literally, to me, that's how still point works. So I did this for years. I got super burnt out, and I stopped. One day I was like, I'm done for a while, and I went to India, as I often do when I get kind of need a retreat or what have you. So I went to India, hanging around with different yogis, and one of the yogis I was with, who didn't say a lot, said something that kind of totally shifted my whole. He said that he lived in the space between the breath. And as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, that's the same thing, the still point I've been doing with my hands. He's just dissolved his whole condition into that state. And so, and he's all blissed out. He's like blissed. He looks, he looks great. He looks like he has energy just flowing.
Yeah.
And so to me, I kind of reoriented my entire kind of approach, and kind of the technologies that we then developed after that are all designed to very simply induce this dissolution, whether it's a physical or an emotional or a psychic, doesn't matter. Anything polarized that someone is holding on to, from my perspective, we have to understand in our own experience how to dissolve those things with our attention first, and then if people have the opportunity to have some tools that can help the process, that's where our technologies come in.
Yeah, and what we're really talking about now are tools that do some unique things. One of them is induce a 0 point through something called scalar. What is scalar energy? How is it different than like electricity energy or even laser energy? What is significant about scalar energy?
That's great. That's good. Hopefully people have heard a bit about scalar, which were kind of popularized by Nikola Tesla. If people have heard of Tesla, and basically Tesla preferred to call them standing waves, and the reason is that traditional wave dynamics, what are called longitudinal waves, are waves that are traveling in a direction, right? Like a wave across a body of water, right? It's moving from one place to another place as it travels along a longitudinal directional path. That's a traditional kind of wave dynamic, right? So a scalar wave is when the past and the future of that wave are weaving into the present simultaneously. And so instead what it looks like is like DNA, or like along the medical symbol, where you have two waves that are weaving up along. They're standing in place. They're not moving from one place to another, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And so right now, there are a lot of different, focus on scalar technologies. And they're all great. It's great that there's a big influx of scalar treatment and different things out there. Our scalar is a little bit different in that when I developed the scalar, we make our scalar to have a very subtle, basically our scalar is designed to induce, and I've tried a lot of other scalar devices and they're all cool, I like them, though I don't typically get the same effect in terms of inducing. Ours is tuned to induce still point and subtle states of bliss. Because from my perspective, bliss, a lot of yogis say that you have the physical, emotional, and psychic, and then the yogis say there's the next plane of energy or dimension plane that comes next is, they call it the bliss state. Like yogis say that people have these different, they call them koshas, or different layers or bodies. You have the physical kosha, then you have the emotional or the astral kosha, then you have the psychic or causal, the next kosha, and then they say there's another kosha called the bliss kosha, the bliss body. And so yogis say that state is the first one that people access that's not linear. It's like the transitional state into the subtler realms of being from where we come from, if that makes sense.
Yeah, beautiful. Now, this is the interesting part of this, because all of this sounds just beautiful and blissful, right? But you're finding that when you take those scalar waves and they become almost like intertwined with certain laser frequencies that are safe, effective, and they're directed to the body, some interesting things are happening. And you had a story in your own life, right, Paul, where something was going on with your jaw, mouth, and something actually unwound what was keeping the healing from coming forward. Share with us that, because that's a fascinating story.
Yeah. So I only got into lasers, and so years ago I had a major dental infection for a lot of years. Okay. And it was an old dental infection. I was kind of tough on my body a bit when I was younger, and big ski racer, kind of ski person, and outdoor. And so I had this old injury over the front tooth and had infection there. And my dad was a dentist. He wanted to pull it. He taught at Yale. He wanted to pull the tooth, and I didn't want to pull it because in cranial work they say don't ever pull a front tooth. Back then they would bridge to the side teeth, and there's two bones at the top above the teeth. It's not, and so if you bridge the center line, it can shut down the cranial rhythm. It makes the cranium not move so much. So I didn't want to bridge, and I didn't want titanium. So basically, I didn't want it, and he was like, you got to pull it, and I was like, no, because he said the infection was eating away at the bone. Bacteria eats away at things. That's why that's another thing. So basically, back then, in the late 90s, a lot of chiros and people like me into different types of body work were using these old veterinary lasers. And so I tried a laser over my front tooth, and within like 10, 15 minutes, I was like, wow, that helped out. So that helped a bit. But then we decided to make a laser, and I used different wavelengths, and literally within, a few weeks, a month, the infection was gone. And then I used a red laser. Red lasers move the blood and clean up infection beautifully. It just moves the blood. So I did the red laser, and that infection went away. Then I used an infrared. I found research that showed that infrared lasers increase bone density, like can grow bone. Lasers stimulate cellular ATP, which is the energy molecule of the cell. And so if you can stimulate ATP, studies show that it gets cells to start to regenerate faster, kind of like a cell phone. If a cell phone is old, the battery doesn't work so good, so the energy doesn't charge up as fast, it doesn't hold as good. So cells get the same way. As old people get older, they don't have a high ATP reserve, energy molecule reserve. And so to me, early on, I was like, wow, anything I can do to boost ATP is kind of a no-brainer. Everyone take a nice big breath in, stop right at the top, and just rest, hold. Stillpoint, by the way, activates. There's studies that show nitric oxide affects ATP, and so to me, resting in Stillpoint is like, all right, we're taking our energy off whatever was going on, even whatever I was saying. Oh, that's great. Yet I'm pulling my attention back here for a moment. Right? Even with your family, even with your work, even with your everything, you got to take moments to say, okay, everything wait out there. Kind of like the CEO, right? CEO doesn't let everyone in the company, right? They have one person so everything stays out there. We're going to reboot. Even news, any data, any information, any external, anything coming for your attention has to wait for a moment. All right, good. See, and I noticed right there, I took a big breath. My system often when you're charged up, you'll take a breath. A breath is we call it Stillpoint response. It's like, okay, good. So whatever the heck I was saying.
Yeah.
So lasers. So what we found with what makes our cold laser or low level laser, which is FDA approved, Health Canada approved, CE, all of Europe, TGA, Australia, as an over the counter pain relief device. What makes ours unique is that we use red for surface, infrared for deeper, and then we use violet, which is for really subtle emotion, stress, subtle yogic stuff. And so when we were making the laser, I was trying lots of things. I was trying, because a lot of people use frequency. Frequency is very popular nowadays. So all the different companies have frequency. Well, I was trying things like amplitude and duty cycle and phase. And basically I said to our engineers, make me a prototype where I can test every possible variable of the light, every characteristic of the light, so I can see what kind of effects we can get. So we use a little bit of frequency, but really what we're doing is we're modulating other parts of the light to induce. What I found was when I changed when I wove these scalar waves in a very specific way through the light, it immediately, as soon as I did it, my condition started to go into stillpoint response. I started taking a breath. I was like, wow. We can induce unwinding. It was amazing. I was like, wow, that's super cool, because I was doing that with my hands on everyone back then. And so I was like, wow, we could have the same effect that I was using on my hands, and everyone around me, my family, everyone always wanted me to unwind them, and I was always unwinding things. So now it's like, wow, I could just hand them a laser, and so this effect of this unwinding and inducing into still point is, we have probably 40,000 customers around the planet now. You can see video after video of people, and everyone, and that the key thing that gave us by having a tool that could very simply unwind, whether you put it on a knee or a disc. And again, I don't tell people this heals or cures or fixes. This is a cold laser. It's for pain relief and this kind of pain relief, inflammation, circulation, arthritis, and relaxation of tissue. That's our clearance. Yet, what I tell people is our subtle scalar technology induces a dissolution and drops into still point, which to me, still point is the place that resets problems in the body, for me at least.
Okay.
Right? So, and I'll say one last thing, which is super key, which is that the unwinding protocol that I tell everybody who uses our product, I tell everybody, if you're working on a knee or a disc or a shoulder, that's great. Yet everybody, if you unwind the adrenals and the tailbone and the vague occipital ridge, those three things to me are so helpful in reorienting how one's nervous system interacts with the outside world. A lot of people, the nervous system and the glands are what define for people if they're responding to the outside world perpetually as a threat and as a stress response, or if they can train their condition to be posited in a parasympathetic state, which is what yogis do, so that yogis are like, their attention's like, most people's attention's totally horizontal with things. Yogis are like 90% intrinsic, and then they keep a little bit on the outside just to kind of say hi to people, see what's going on, but things are happening. They're not letting their state of being get knocked around by what's going on by the outer phenomena.
Well, I've got a question for you. It ties to this work. You mentioned something Deepak Chopra had said. There's a quote from Stephen Hall that I found that was very interesting to this, and he says, quote, "Every single cell in the human body replaces itself over a period of 7 years. That means there's not even the smallest part of you now that was part of you 7 years ago." So if that's true, why do we continue with pains, feelings, traumas, and even areas that just don't heal? I mean, what could be the reason?
Yeah, so basically, that's exactly right. I couldn't agree more. The body is in a perpetual state of regeneration. It's so important because people here actually have the reference. It's like people have the view that they were here when they were a baby, right? So people have this notion. It's like when you consider who you are, people are like, oh, they've been here since their body hasn't been here that long, right? The body's been totally regenerated. They've mapped out the eyes are new in 2 days. They've mapped out, they call it the rate of regeneration. Wow. Different cells are regenerating at different rates. Bone takes longer. Certain cells are moving. Eyes are very fast. Certain cells are going really fast. Others are a little slower. So the body hasn't been here. So that brings the question, well, what's the you? Right? It's like the notion of the you is like a figment of one's, it's very transit. It's not that stable, right? So, which is why, from my perspective, it's so important to begin to disassociate, not be so oriented towards the outer things and the impressions that have happened along the way, and start to cultivate a reference of who we are as a state of being, right? As a state of, whether it's bliss or whatever that unique thing is that we came here to share with the world. So in terms of why people hold on to stuff, that's what Deepak delved into and others have delved into in terms of understanding why are people holding on. And from my perspective, even though people are having new cells that are coming in and they're not the same old cells, the resonance is holding on. It's the energetic, the polarity. Basically, let me break it down like this. To me, if people have their condition in a way that is it's like a magnet, right? A magnet holds on to metal filings. If you can shift, everyone take a nice breath in, stop at the top, hold for a moment. Just rest here, space between, just rest. Feels like holding the breath. Let the breath keep going. Yeah, you stay kind of like a buoy, you're just resting. So when we go here, right, this changes our perception and our condition to neutral. Well, from my perspective, when people are fixated on who they, or the view that they are, they're polarized, right? They have this identification. Things cling to them. Physical, emotional, psychic, everything's clinging to them. Even cell memory, toxins, heavy metals, all kind of pesticides, they cling to a magnetic field. If we can start to cultivate with our perception and our attention a neutral state, still point right here, neutral, we start to open up the option to not hold on to stuff. And to me, that's the basis for starting to say, oh, well, might have experienced that, but that's not who I am. We start to tease out all those different things, including the lymph system turns on. All these things happen that starts to purify because there's no longer a magnetic field that's holding on to things or having things hold on to them, if that makes sense.
Totally. I mean, and that would be why, perhaps one explanation why cells or body parts would continue to hold a pain for a lifetime because it's still holding on to the trauma, to the imprint of that event. It's like the guy gets hit by a baseball when he's a kid in the mouth and his mouth never heals because he's still got the trauma. As one of the doctors, I believe, that worked with you had a whole video on this. I thought it was fascinating. Guy was a chiropractor. He said once he used the scalar laser, finally that area started healing. I can't remember his name, but this is what we're seeing with these. I want to share a story really quick from someone named CP who said within 20 minutes of using a protocol called Unwind, I could feel the energy moving through my body. I turned my head and heard a series of cricks, and the kink that I had in my neck and shoulder for over a month was gone. The day after, I can hardly take in how different my body feels. My spine feels open. I feel taller, et cetera, et cetera. What are you seeing with some of these devices? Like, what are some of your favorite stories of maybe one or two of transformation? Then I want to talk about some of the latest unfoldments that are even taking this to another level, Paul, of course.
I want to say one thing because it's easy to hear the test. We have such good testimonials from our network, but it makes it seem like, oh, this device is so great, and it's such a. I want to I want to kind of tone that down only because, from my perspective, what's amazing is the human condition. And the cranial sacral rhythm is this rhythm so the cranial sacral rhythm surrounds the brain and spinal cord. It's these sheaths that surround the brain, and it's a very slow. It goes in and it goes out, and when it pumps cerebrospinal fluid, it also kind of is the key rhythm, from my perspective, of the parasympathetic system of the body. And so then you have the breath. When you look at babies, the cranial rhythm and the breath. And then you have the heart, you have the pulse, you have all these different rhythms. And the cranial rhythm to me is the one that when in babies and yogis, it's that slower rhythm. The cranial rhythm's slower than the other ones, and they're all synced up to it. As people get stressed on planet Earth, the rhythms the breathing starts going, then the heart rate, they all start to diffract, and then you have all these different rhythms going on. And so to me, when we are able to unwind those other rhythms and get the cranial rhythm to come together and then collapse into still point, things reset. It's just like your computer. If everything's all congested, compressed, you hit Control Alt Delete or make it quick, reset. It resets. Still point is the reset mechanism, whether it's physical, emotional, or psychic. Anything in those, you reset. It's the same thing babies do. If you ever watch a baby breastfeed, you'll see it it's crawling around, it bumps into something, starts crying, starts breastfeeding, the jaw starts pulling forward, which releases the vagus nerve. Mother's milk has oxytocin. You watch a baby, 5-10 minutes later, first it's breathing a little bit, eventually it drops into still point. You'll see it. They drop right into still point. They look around, and then they might start breasting again, but they're in still point. They're in this state. So still point is the natural state for everybody. Like everybody who came in here came in, and their nervous system was not pulled by the outer sympathetic. Sympathetic's the outer, right? It's like a bear comes, your adrenals kick in, that pushes your sympathetic, you're going to run, right? Or you're going to fight, right? That's the sympathetic. Parasympathetic is you're relaxed, you're at ease, everything's integrated. And so our technology is super effective because I don't make anything. Not one of our products do I ever make until I tune it. When I'm making stuff, I have a consideration. I then map out all the different things I can do with engineers, and then we make some prototypes, and then I try stuff until when I use it, I immediately feel my body that cranial rhythm start to unwind. And then it's like a rubber band. It's all tight. You hold it, it starts to unwind. Eventually it unwinds and it goes into still point. It goes into neutral. Same thing. Whether I'm working on someone's knee, their disc, their digestion, the headache, their emotional issue, their whole condition. I don't care what I work on. I have the same equation. I stay in still point, and then I do whatever I can to try to help their condition to start to unwind like the rubber band, whatever the thing is I'm working on, until eventually they come and they reset back in still point, which to me is their reset where solutions start to come back into play.
Yeah, and I love this because the technology is like I've used them where I'll put it on my neck or on my heart chakra or on my sacral, and it does the work for me. I just sit back and I allow it to run. I allow it to unwind. And there's a number of different protocols and ways that you can use this, which we're going to talk about. And we also have a group process, but I would be remiss if we didn't talk about a new technology that you sent me, and I've been blown away by this because at first I didn't know what to make of it. I said, okay, do I put my food on this? Do I put it on my body? Well, you know me, I'm a pretty adventurous guy. I was like, I'm going to do both. And I was able to tune my food, my water, and even my body using one of your newest devices. And it's simply amazing. Tell us about these devices and what they do. And I'm talking about what's called the Portal Alchemy Tuner. Think about those three words, Portal Alchemy Tuner, Scalar Portal Alchemy Tuner. It's literally creating a portal to tune your world to this new alchemy.
Yeah, so
cool.
I totally dig that and appreciate that, Darius. They've come out when I make something. It doesn't really come from me when I'm making it, right? I kind of have a consideration. It's almost like I'm like, it's arriving, and I just keep staying in still point. Everything that we make comes from still point. I'm resting in still point, and then it just kind of lands in. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. But I don't consider it the way you just defined it. And you're right. It's like, wow, it's super cool. For me, it's just like, oh, that's just what it's called. It's got to be called that. So basically, I didn't answer in your last one for one moment. I used to do a lot of retreats and seminars. We haven't as much lately. And the most amazing thing that I hear is so often people come to our retreats and our seminars, and they bought the laser, they bought something for a knee or a disc or something else, and they come up and they say, wow, the most amazing thing about this is after unwinding the adrenals and doing it for a month, 2 months, their condition in life starts to change, and they start to not be so affected by outer things. Yeah. And they start to just rest in a nice equipoise and more bliss or more. And that to me is what makes me, that's why I do this, and that's what makes me like, wow, this is just a total gift and blessing. And that's how we feel about it also. So they are subtle yogic tools, alchemy tools for helping to tune and condition our reality so we can be more effective here at helping to truly assist other beings who are visiting here to do what their dharma is, what they're here to do on planet Earth. That's how I kind of look at the mission of the technology, the company, the Stillpoint, the company, the products, all of it. So on that note, the new Bliss Portal is just far out. It's just, I designed it. It's just cool. I designed it because so many things right now that people use, that we use, whether it's soap, whether it's water, whether it's food, whether it's all the things that the material society are throwing at us. To me, I wanted to be able. So we have these wooden plates that come with it. Then the tuner you can use. It's a non-medical. It's a beautiful device. It's in a beautiful purple aluminum. It emits energy. It's just so beautiful. And isn't it cool? You just hold it and it's like just far out. And so it's got a whole lot of new programs that I've been playing around with that are designed around, and there'll be more training coming out. It's brand new, designed around understanding the different subtle yogic kind of anatomy. Like there's a section about layers, which has to do with those different koshas I was referencing earlier.
Yes.
And then there's other ones that have to do with activating bliss in the glands. And so we can put food on these wooden plates that we make, and the whole, if people are familiar with Ormus or the higher spinning electrons, there's different, in alchemy you have solid, liquid, gas, and then ether's the fourth state. Alchemists often say the fourth state of matter, the monoatomic or the Ormus or the ether or the plasma. And this device tunes, whether it's your soap, whether it's water, whether it's some oil you want to use, whatever it is, it tunes the ether, whether it's your crystals, whether it's, we find putting our hands or our feet on the wooden plates, it kind of has a very different type of effect. It kind of tunes the etheric, they tune the higher spinning ether elements. And the key to this technology is, we're going to have some more training coming soon with it. It's picking programs, like there's a program called Crown, which is, it's just great. It opens up the lotus at the top of the head and just brings bliss. It's just so blissful. And then there's ones like you mentioned. There's one called Euphoria, which is just so. Some of them are so subtle, and yet to me, what they're designed for is helping people. Everyone take a moment, drop in right here, do it at the top of the breath. You can do it at the bottom of the breath. You can simply hold for a moment, just kind of good. So these different programs, they start to, there's an interesting view actually in Western medicine, that the brain is emitting these different signals, neurotransmitters they call them, and different signals. It's almost like a tree that has like branches, and then there are these signals, and then there's little flower buds. And so say someone has pain or some issue, the brain will send neurotransmitters like endorphins or opiates, right? The brain makes millions of different compounds that it then sends, kind of like a pharmacy. It sends it direct to the area where the pain receptor is, opens up little receptor sites, and then it's able to send this signal. So when people are really a lot of toxicity or stress and always fixated, this system doesn't work so good, and so it stops working. Then people need pain medication, and all these medications turn it off even more. And so, from my view, if we tend to this, so I look at the tuner as like we start to tune subtle states of bliss and alchemy, and the more we start to condition, like this reality we have is ours to do whatever we want with. It's like the TV. You can do whatever you want. You put it on, or a computer.
Right. You can tune it.
Our condition is ours to be tuned, as opposed to getting tuned by whatever the reference that people are going off of in mainstream, whatever, right? Or we can tune our condition. And I can't say this enough. Every day I suggest people take a moment and drop right here. And then whether you use some of our technologies or use some of our protocols using Stillpoint, use this as the opportunity to say to the outer phenomena, hey, wait out there. We're dealing with you all day. We're going to use this as a window to open up the space of our experience, to start to cultivate our perception and our physics of how we want to be experiencing and expressing our reality here. For me, I like bliss and I like subtle. I want to tune the DMT. I want to tune these things and get them popping, so that when I am not doing this subtle yogic practice, I can be in the world and someone's tripping out or doing something else, and instead of me responding to them, I want to be kind of holding bliss and kind of hoping that they'll shift out of whatever fixation they're on and come join in us in a more harmonious and amiable kind of reality.
That's right. You mentioned you created these tuning systems, and particularly what I thought was interesting, you mentioned the food, and you said there's a lot of stuff sometimes energetically in the things that we consume in our world. So what are the things that we can actually put on these tuners and actually then tune them to a higher frequency? What have you seen happen? What have you seen done? What are some of the examples?
Oh yeah, so basically, I'm big into tuning anything that it's like salt, for example, sea salt. Great thing to tune because it literally holds energy, right? So say you're taking tubs. I tell people if they, some people put baking soda in their tubs. Some people put Epsom salt. Some people put different things in there. And tuning what you put in was a great way to optimize and enhance the tub. Essential oils. You can tune essential oils. People can tune, of course, whatever they drink is great. If you're drinking something all day, it doesn't take long to tune things with this. Right? Put it on there. I find it tunes up really, really fast. Jewelry that people wear, crystals that people wear.
Wow.
And a lot of almost all, I can't say this enough, a lot of the protocols, the different programs that are on there, don't stress too much about picking which one. They all have a nice, subtle kind of effect. And so the way that you do it is you just go through it. It's kind of like a remote, right? You turn the TV on if you watch TV, and you go through, and as soon as you find one that makes you smile, that you like, you feel good, you kind of take a breath, a sigh, and you're like, oh, that's good, and you leave it there, right? You go through these and just do each one for like 5 or 10 seconds, and you're just looking for which one when you first do it is like, that kind of feels good. The right one you'll feel right away. And so I just scan through. I don't even really read them. I just try one, and then I'll try one. I'll be like, whoa. And some days I didn't feel that one, and then I'll be like, wow, that one feels great. And then I just tune stuff with it.
Yeah, I mean, what is ambrosia? I don't want to get too deep, I know, but ambrosia is something you've talked about, and this sounds like a very high level of tune. And I want to make note that when I got the new Scalar tuner, the module is completely different. It's got a beautiful metal casing. If you're familiar with the lasers, it's totally different. But I noticed some things I'd never seen before, like ambrosia. And that stuck out to me because I know that's a very important word that you've used at a very high level. What did you put in this, and what is ambrosia for us? Because I'm excited about that one.
That's super cool. There you go. So ambrosia, first off, these are not frequencies like traditional Rife frequencies. So when I make a program with something, I kind of have a reference of what and it's almost alchemy where I'm trying different things, not with frequency, a little bit of frequency, but I'm doing different things to the wave format, right? So a lot of waves, when you send a wave, say you send a laser out and it's shooting out, right? Or some other thing, and you put the frequency only determines how fast it goes from one point to the other. Right? Okay. All frequency is how fast the linear wave goes. Does it get there fast or does it get there slow? Right? That's frequency. It's a linear attribute of the wave. So a frequency can help target stuff, but to me what we're doing is I'm taking the wave and I'm kind of dissolving the linear nature of it, if that makes sense. So in some situations I shape the wave into like a tetrahedral, or I'm doing different things to the other parts of the wave, like the amplitude, the duty cycle, the phase, and the structure of it, and then a little bit of frequency. So between all those things, I'm trying things. It's kind of like when you put a song together. You put a chord and another word until you eventually got like, oh wow, that's a cool song. So when I make programs, it's like an alchemy of how am I tuning. And so ambrosia, to me, in the East they refer to activating. They call it the Amrita, which is the yogis. Everyone again, drop right in here. Yogis say that the reason why yogis withdraw their attention from the outer things is when they withdraw from the outer things, then they bring the attention to the base and travel it up the scalar nadis, the medical symbol, the scalar channels that go up the spine. And when they go up the spine, they eventually coalesce in the cranium, where they say it opens up what they call Amrita, which is Amrita is when the glands come into a certain coherence and they start to release a substance that has DMT and all kinds of different compounds that induce a state of bliss. And it opens up, they say then it opens up a lotus at the top of the head. And many traditions refer to this. This is like in even esoteric texts from most of the religions have references that refer to the esoteric kind of capability of the human faculty, the human condition. And so ambrosia to me is designed to activate and help induce that subtle alchemy that helps to induce the Amrita and there's other traditions in the West that refer to it as the fountain of youth. There's different names for it. Carl Jung translated a book, an old Taoist book that's called Secret of the Golden Flower. I read it when I was younger, and I was like, that's what I was like in college or started, and for people to be like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, that, But Secret of the Golden Flower is about cultivating the inner circuits of energy, and then until this substance opens in the cranium and it completely, the notion of who you are goes away, and instead you're just in total bliss and ecstasy. So to me, that's the yogic. This isn't just about, we're going to reclaim our attention. The attention is valuable, right? If the attention is getting scattered with all these things going on in the world, not that those things aren't relevant, but one way or the other, those things are going to happen. They're going to go this way. They're going to go that way. Yeah. And so having the capacity, we still want to be present and be, put our reference in our, how we can help with things going on in the world. Yet we also want to be, this is a rare opportunity to have arrived here on this jewel of a planet. There are so many different forms that people could have come in as, different animals and different, in the whole universe. I mean, this is such a blessing. The yogi and mystics that I was blessed to be around. I cannot emphasize this enough. They were so humble and so clear that this human birth is such a blessing and gift that we should not waste it idly. We should really do our best to cultivate our attention and fulfill the purpose and destiny of our human birth.
Yeah, this is amazing. We're getting a lot of questions about the different devices, what they look like, how they work, how you use them, and we're going to be talking about that in a moment, so stay tuned. We've got just a full breakout of how this can be used in your life, from the full body experience to isolating a particular part of the body to focusing on different areas of the body and having that energy move all the way through to even bringing your food and your supplements and the things around you into this yogic state, and then being able to bring that into the body through what you consume. So it's an amazing portal and technology. But Paul, one of the things we're going to do today, and I know people are digging this so much, we're going to do a Stillpoint manifestation and abundance activation. I've never heard you do anything like this before. We've been doing this for a while. Manifestation and abundance, Stillpoint, man, it sounds like it makes perfect sense, but take us through this because we want to experience it today.
Okay, good. So, the first thing let's do, this is what we cover in our retreats and our where we, for our community is around the planet, and every so often we'll do a 3 or 4 day, retreat, and we do a little bit of laser in some of the technology, but mostly it's process work. It's subtle yogic process. And so let's just walk through a very simple process. To me, I can't emphasize this enough. The more abundance, there's a lot of buzz right now about abundance and manifestation. And it's a good moment for it. And the key reference that I cannot emphasize enough is that when people are fixated in their persona, right? Fixated, what's more abundant, right? A finite thing or something that's totally open and neutral? The physics of abundance in the universe are based on the principle of neutrality, right? If you look at like a grain of sand and I tell people, to cultivate your abundance, the most important thing you want to do is start to dissolve the fixation of your condition and rest and abide in the state of stillpoint. The more you rest and abide and attune your perception to that abundant nature of your condition, the universe will bring things that are more abundant. If you fixate on your fixated condition, the universe will bring things that are fixated, if that makes sense. So let's walk through a little process. And manifestation, I want to say one other thing about manifestation, just as a kind of pre-reference. Manifestation, so most people, from my perspective on planet Earth, from the yogic perspective, aren't they are sort of. So what happens with a lot of people when they're in a fixated, this is really the discussion of, is someone in a condition where they're fixated, which was the prevailing condition in the previous age. Everyone here was going through a fixated, it's like a lens on a microscope. You look through it and everything's one way, and then you flip the lens. Well, shift of the ages is a lens shift of our planet and star and the different stars, the lens of the universe flowing through different stars into our reality here. And so when you flip the lens on a microscope and you look, you're like, whoa, you're looking at the same thing, but it's like totally different magnification. It looks totally different. So the shift of the ages is a shift of perception in people. So in the last age, people were living as fixated in their own conditions, not connected to the vaster cosmos. In the new season, totally different. We're living as we are one reality. There's no diffraction of, and so the yogis say that a lot of people are, when they're holding on to physical karmas and emotional and psychic fixations that they are holding on to, right? The universe then brings situations and brings things that resonate to the frequencies of the things they're holding on to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, actually.
And so manifestation to me is a completely different play, right? Manifestation is saying, well, hold on, first, let's dissolve some of those fixations, some of those cell memories and emotions and beliefs. We dissolve some of those things, and then when we're resting here in Stillpoint, without those things, we start to open up our perception to what do we want to pull in our life, right? Like, what do we want to, and we don't do that by getting it from someone else or getting it from some other higher place, or that's not how, to me, it works. We don't get it from having the consideration. We get it from it's kind of like it's like a voyage. We're staying open, and we consider something, and then we rest with that, and we see, wow, when I rest with that, does that seem to kind of open up my condition of Stillpoint? And if it doesn't, then I say, okay, toss it aside. Then consider a little more. You're wanting to open a business. And then you look for the thing, and you're like, wow, I want to open a business, and I want to work with gemstones, or I want to work with lay, and then you dissolve more, and you open up more into the nonlinear state. To me, that's how I make devices. I make everything from Stillpoint. I rest in Stillpoint. I'm like, wow, that'd be cool. And then I'll consider it, and everything dissolves. And the more it dissolves and opens me up to the vaster state of being, I'm like, that's what I want. And so when we do things like that, right? When we make things like that, when we're doing things and making things that are not leading us more to finite things, they're leading us more to that integrated state of being. Nice. And connection to the cosmos and beyond, which to me is the affliction that is afflicting our people right now, is disconnection from the vaster cosmos of who we truly are in the universe and beyond.
Absolutely.
And so all of these, so let's do we can do a little process to give a sample of what Stillpoint, for those of us that do it in our seminars, what a little session, they're real easy. You can do it in 2 minutes and, 5, 10, 15 minutes, easy. So everyone go ahead and take a nice breath in again. Take a nice breath in. And right at the top of the breathe out, relax, let go. You're all doing great, by the way. Take another nice breath in. And stop right at the top. Kind of hold for a moment. Feels like holding the breath. Don't hold the breath. Let the breath keep going. It's good at doing its own thing. Just let it do its own thing. And yet you stay here. You keep your perception here in the space between the breath. Good. You can simply rest here. Every 5-10 minutes in my life, I'll take a moment. I'll just kind of say, okay, I had enough of that outer world stuff here. I'm going. And so now envision one of those laser sabers from the movie. This is such an important little tool. Envision one of those laser sabers. If you have our laser, you can do it. For now, just envision a little laser saber from the movies, and go around the outside of your we call it the quantum field, the energy envelope around the body. As you go around, just clear any blockages, any holes, clear from any people. I tell people clear from people like on planet Earth to connect through the chakras, cords of energy through the chakras. And I tell people you can't stay in Stillpoint if people are pulling at you from different chakras all day long. So the more you come here to Stillpoint, you want to start to cultivate your condition. We call it the quantum field. You want to cultivate this Stillpoint state. So cut any cords from any people. Could be people that aren't around anymore. Could be family. Could be work. Could be society. Could be everything. Could be the whole country right now. Could be anything that's pulling at you through the chakras. You want to clear from it. And people often in our seminars will say, do we do family? I said, definitely. Loved ones, family. We're not clearing from them for good. We're just clearing any cords so that we can be there for them from the place of neutrality, which is way better for them, you and them. So clear from everyone, everything. And often I'll do this the more you get, I'll give you a moment to just to clear anything. Just get a gist for how it works for now, and then you can do more. We do a whole process in our seminars where we'll do this for like a while and give people just flow through, and you'll be able to tell when you've done enough for one session. For me, I can already feel you'll just take a breath and you'll just kind of reset into still point. It'll be like, okay, that was good. That's good. Good clearing. You can do it with the laser too. The violet probe and the lotus work really good for clearing blocked energy and other people from. Okay, good. The more you do this, you could do old relationships. You could do people that in your family that aren't around. Anything that might have been holding on to you and like that. Okay, good. So next thing we're going to do is now just take a moment, drop back in still point, and just kind of rest here a moment. And the more you rest here, you might find your quantum field expands a little bit more. I tell people, as you rest here, you clear. You'll find a lot of people's energy field goes out. They say, yogis say it goes out 5-10 feet. People, shamans, healers, yogis, can go out 50, 100 feet, can go out much further. For saints, great beings can go out like the whole planet and the whole universe. Their attention is very vast. So, good. So now, the key to manifestation, I'm going to do something else in a moment with y'all. The key to manifestation to me, very simple. The key to abundance is even easier. Rest here. The more you rest here, you're shifting your perception into abundance. This is the neutral state of the universe is far more abundant than the finite, like a planet, is much less abundant than the neutral energy of the universe. So resting here every so often, once, twice a day, simply attunes your whole condition, your perception, your attention to the abundant state of energy. And as you do that, start to be open to bringing in more abundance in your life. Not just abundance in money. A lot of people, abundance in feeling good, in energy, in having things you love. So just stay open. It could also be money, but it's about the physics of the state of abundance. Mm. To me, scalar is the same. Prana, chi, universal energy, scalar, neutrality. It's all the same. This energy that is what weaves everything from stars to elements to emotions to the cells. Everything is woven from this essence of this vast ocean of energy. And so we want to charge up in that. So that's good. That's good. And in terms of manifestation, when you're resting here in this state, the key is when you're considering, what do you want to you manifest for work or for, say, a relationship or for what you want to be doing with your life, right? You consider different things, and one might pull up, and you're like, yeah, not so much juice there. See if you can notice when you pull up something that you want to work on in your life, that you want to manifest. Consider one or two things, and if the energy doesn't do much with it, that's all right. Consider another one. You're looking for the one, when you consider it, that you're like, you dissolve. Like, when you consider something as the one, like, then you start to kind of go into what we call still point response, where you kind of dissolve and expand. That's the one you want to work on in this session. And then you consider, all right, well, how are we going to manifest that more? What can we do? Say you want to, open up a little gem store or something, right? So then you consider, okay, what's some steps we can do? And then, or you want to find a relationship, or you want to start to have some more resources and money in your life. Whichever one opens for you for this session. It just means that in this moment, this is a good one to focus on. And then you consider, well, okay, what can we start to do? See, this isn't us saying, someone else or our higher whatever, or someone's going to give this to. No, this is us from our place as fullness and being, saying, well, all right, how can we steward this journey to manifesting this thing that that you're excited about and you want to have more of in your life, right? So you consider, well, I could do this, or I could maybe take a course or online or I can go by, and you just consider, I could do this, or I could, whether you want to get in shape and you want to feel younger, until you consider, okay, wow, that feels good. So okay, so you come out with a step that you can, take to go and begin to start to trend your condition. See, at the end of the day, manifestation, it's us opening up to who we are in the cosmos as conscious beings, and then how we are weaving and orchestrating, are manifesting this new experience in our reality. And so, to me, the nonlinear this state of Stillpoint is the totally perfect state to because we're connected to being, and so we can consciously steward bringing in things, whether it's health, whether it's whatever that is for you. Everyone take again breath in and just kind of reset for a moment. And occasionally I don't usually chat this much, but this is part of call, and usually in retreats I'm quiet longer, so I apologize. So take a moment, just kind of rest here for a moment, see what kind of, maybe it's that you want to start to have more of a intrinsic orientation in life and less the outer phenomena. So take a moment and kind of consider, okay, I just learned the whole process, and what can you do to kind of start to carve that out more in your life, right? For me, I tell people in our network every day, have a comfortable chair or a place that you like to sit, and where no one else is everyone else, not now. Could be in a closet, could be in a comfy chair or on the floor on a meditation cushion, and you go there and you have your lasers, other things, and you sit there and you drop into still point first, then you expand it out a little more. You clear your field. And then you can open up to abundance, and I'll give you one more tool here, a really easy one. This is such a real good one. Once you clear, I show people on some of our videos how to clear a couple of things too. We're not going to get into that. That's a little longer, but how to go to an emotion or a cell memory and welcome it. Pick one thing in your life that's been a little challenge lately. Maybe it's too much stress. Maybe it's a injury. Maybe it's and then just pull it up for a moment on the screen. I say it's like the screen this is your quantum field. Pull it up right there, whatever that, challenge or issue, or maybe a concern about something, whatever that is, pull it up and just allow it to be there for a moment. Now, with your attention, simply go up to that situation and just welcome it. Just say, aloha, welcome. From the place of still point, simply welcome whatever that is. Maybe it's an issue you've had with a friend or a loved one, or concern about money, whatever it is, and simply welcome it. And what you might notice when you welcome it from still point, you might notice it starts to unravel a little bit. And maybe feel you take a breath, like a rubber band unraveling. Just allow it to unravel. Don't try to fix it. Don't try to send energy to it. Don't try to heal it. Don't try to laser it. Don't try to do anything with it. Simply, from still point, simply welcome that challenge, that situation. Until eventually, like right there for me, I kind of landed back in still point. When I land in still point, that tells me, okay, that thing, the energy of that fixation dissolved for now. And so that's one thing. You can do that with an injury. You can do that with an emotion. You can do it with a pattern that you've been overly, too much concern or too much getting upset at people. Any pattern, you can do this. And you can do this with anything that's going on in your situation. And the benefit, rest back in still point. Everyone drop back in still point. The beauty of it doesn't mean in one session that it's going to be gone. You might go later on or tomorrow and drop in still point and scan around and see, and that thing might be there again. And you say, oh, okay, great, aloha, welcome. And most things that I decide to work on, and it can take 2 weeks or a month until I dissolve it so much that when I go again and I look, that's not the thing that's there anymore. See, it's like an ice cube. It melts, and this is about, like with your computer. You don't want a bunch of stuff on there, right? If you saved everything that opened up on your computer, every window you opened, the thing wouldn't work. There'd be no more. Everyone drop in still point again. One moment here. Drop in. Good. Clear everything and just reset. Reset. Good. So to kind of bring closure to this process, right? you all did great. I could tell you all kind of moved through and experienced different things. And then the key is affirm if you felt that dissolution and that reset. That means you're good at dissolving this. Just like when you use your computer and there's too many windows and you close stuff and you clear the history, you reset that, right? The computer doesn't work if it's compressed with data. It doesn't work. You got to clear it out. Well, the same is with your condition. Your physical body might be one thing, but if your energetic state is compressed with physical, emotional, psychic, dimensional compression, it's going to put pressure on you. And when people have pressure, what they do is they end up clearing the pressure by drinking or smoking or eating not good food or staying up too late or doing stuff to off the pressure. So the key is, don't be too hard on you if you do have different things. The key is to start to say, hey, I can use Stillpoint to shift the pressure, dissolve the pressure easily, right? You're all experts at this. It's easy. Super easy. You don't need to be anything. It's just super easy. And my view is everyone on planet Earth who can operate their phone or their computer to not have it get you got to be able to clear your own karma. This is just, if we're going to move into this next season and all come in and cooperate and open up a new season of harmony and blessings, we got to be able to not project our karma onto nature and other people. We got to get back to the right here. So good job, everybody. Good job.
Wow. One of the things I want to ask you about is this beautiful being, Cecil, and what she shared about these beautiful new charging plates.
Yeah, yes. Cecile is a gem of a person.
Sorry, Cecile. I don't know why I knew.
No,
I was saying it wrong.
It's all right. That's actually
Cecile,
kind of cute. She's adorable, and she's just a lovely human being, and she's been coming to our retreats, and we were traveling around for a lot of years doing a lot of different conferences, expos, and gatherings, and she's been to many of them, and she just adores. Whenever any product we get, she feels it. Most people in our network buy our technologies because they love Stillpoint and they can feel the effect of it, and it helps them in a different area. So it's just another way that people can try to transform the different compressed stuff that's coming at them to turn it into something that's going to be helpful in assisting their journey towards back to the state of being.
Yeah, and I want to walk people through the page because we're gonna kind of talk about this. The first question people get is like, what does a scalar wave look like? And if you actually go look at the top of the page, you're going to see these two waves kind of intertwining and crossing over each other, then coming up and then going apart and then crossing over again. These are the scalar waves. And what Paul has done is actually, as you said, Paul, wrapped a laser in this scalar wave, which I don't know anywhere else this has ever been done before, and the results are quite phenomenal. And Paul, I mean, the newest thing that you have, in addition to some of the most powerful tools we've ever seen here at UWealth, is this scalar alchemy tuning portal. Now, you call it a portal. Why is that? I mean, it's actually opening up like a portal, like new worlds, right?
Yeah, I mean, when I started making it, I was clear. Like the name that initially was just like portal. This is a portal. It's a portal that opens up. So it's opening up, opens up, but it's also a portal in that, we have lots of different wellness products, and this can be the driver for all of them. Like you can plug this into the Wi-Fi and basically you can send these signals through your whole house and tune bliss in your. So let me just kind of bake it down like this for new folks, right? Yeah, there's our laser technologies. We have our scalar wave laser family of products. Those are medical devices, and they all have our scalar technology in it. They all have a beautiful, subtle, induce a Stillpoint bliss effect. They unwind cell memory, and they're great for injuries, pain, and that kind of stuff. So that's our kind of first products that we came out with, 15, 20 years ago, a while ago now. So, 10, 15 years ago. So then we came out with a product two products that really work on the quantum field, which is the envelope. The more you rest, everyone take a nice breath in, stop at the top. The more you rest in this state, your quantum field, the energy envelope pops open. I stay in Stillpoint for me a lot, but truly, Mike, the more you unwind your adrenals and rest in Stillpoint, the quantum field state just opens and stays open. And so the two products that help support keeping the quantum field open are the Wi-Fi The Wi-Fi is a home product that you turn it on and it helps dissolve, neutralize EMF, cell phone, smart meter, Wi-Fi, 5G, any waves. A lot of people are barraged with linear waves that are compressing them to stress out the adrenals and to stay in the compressed linear state. So Wi-Fi sends a signal. It's not a laser. It's a unique scalar technology we developed that tunes, and it sends a field for half a mile or a mile, and it is designed to dissolve all the different things. It doesn't totally dissolve it; just softens it. And most important, it induces anyone who's near it to it's communicating with your cranial rhythm to invite it to dissolve and drop into still point. So that's a tuner that it tunes the quantum field and the state of energy, right? And then we have a lotus laser, which is a white laser, and that laser is all violet lasers, and it's designed to work on energy, emotion, stress, on the quantum, not a medical device, more for the quantum field, for tuning the energetic state of the quantum field. It's a beautiful laser. Most companies don't use violet lasers. They're super rare, and they're super good at neutralizing dimensional. Basically, they decompress dimensional compression, which to me is probably one of the biggest issues around. Then the next product we came out with were our scalar pads. There's a lot of companies now that make these pads that use either LEDs or they use magnetic fields. They're quite popular. And for me, none of those. To me, those are all polarizing, right? Magnetic fields polarize things.
Yeah.
Scalar and magnetic are the opposite, right? Magnetic is energy that's derived from the poles that are apart from each other. Scalar is energy that comes when there are no poles, right? So one is energy that's from poles. The other is energy when there are no poles. It's neutral, right? Polarity, neutrality. Those are we made this. I had this consideration for this pad. And I just played around with it, and so it's all made on cotton, bamboo, organic fabric. It's really subtle and handmade. We make everything here in Vermont, and when you lay on the pad, it's designed to unwind the cranial sacral system, and when it unwinds the cranial sacral system, it then has a blessing of also activating, and this is really key for when, usually I come out with a product based on some of the stuff going on the planet. And so by activating the scalar nadis, the circuits are designed to activate the nadis along the spine, the scalar energy, the medical symbol. So laying on the pads is designed to unwind the cranial rhythm, and it activates the nadis, and that's really important right now with the excess 5G and a lot of the stuff that's coming at people, stabilizing that energy flow along the spine, which is another process that we do also. It really helps to stabilize people's attention so it's not getting blown out by all the kind of compression that's going on. So that's the scalar pads, and then lastly, our newest products that just came out are the scalar portal, which the more I made it, I realized it's also a tuner, right? So it's a portal, it's also a tuner in that it can tune very subtle states that people want to open up into their experience. And so that tuner can be used with the Wi-Fi to tune your whole house. It can be used with the pads as a non-medical kind of yogic alchemy. You can put it up through the pad and then tune your subtle condition to all kinds of, like ambrosia or the crown. It's kind of cool. So, and then lastly, the tuner also comes with a set of plates, and those plates are super good for tuning ether. They tune the higher spinning state of the electrons in foods and in whatever gems, crystals, anything you want to put on there. It kind of tunes it nicely.
Well, I want to walk through these, so we're going to unpack this a little bit for people because I know folks have questions. Before we do and walk through what you've made available, there's a number of stories, testimonials, showing people using it, what their stories are, including a very well-known yoga teacher named Shiva Ray, and even Shaka Khan, the Grammy-winning singer and songwriter and actor and activist. But one of the other things I think is interesting, I mean, a lot of people have been talking about the blood in these times, wanting to increase sort of like that immune response, that ability. I can't say whether this does it or not, but I know being in that calmer state has a huge impact on your immunity as you lower cortisol and stress. But you've actually got pictures of blood, round blood cells and white cells becoming more active and not all clumped together. And you'll find this on the page. What is the story with the blood cells, and why are like these unclumped, round, perfectly beautiful blood cells important for our health and well-being, especially in these times?
Yeah, so good question. So if you're stressed, adrenaline, that stress basically sends that stress to it's kind of like a pool of water, right? You're a pool of cells. And if you put a bright light in the water, right, all the water is going to light up the color of the light that you put in there, right? Well, your glands, I can't say this enough, your glands condition your physics.
Okay.
Yogis understand this, right? I was really drawn to yogis in part. The glands, to me, are the key things in our condition that can change the whole physics. So if the adrenals are running the show, then the blood is tight, is all compressed, cells are tight, everything kind of gets... If you can unwind the adrenals and open the thymus gland, for example, to me, the thymus gland turns on the lymph system, activates subtle energy, high-spinning energy, ormus, all the subtle energy starts to turn, the neutral energy starts to open in that simple shift from the adrenals running the show. And glands work through a principle called entrainment, right? It's why when women live in a house together, their cycles come together. People get entrained based on who they grew up around. And so to me, cranial work is great. And still, the people often say to me how they felt so good at Stillpoint, and they during our intro event and what have you, they don't have our products. They felt so good, and then they go home, and it's not as easy. And I say, well, the key is you got to unwind the glands. If the glands are pulling people back into sympathy and stress.
And we've got a few different options. Option one, Paul, you may not have it in front of you, but it's a scalar alchemy tuning portal or a Lotus laser with a large scalar wellness pad. Plus you get access to the training module. So tell me about this. Here they're getting the portal to actually, they could use a laser, or they could actually use both with the laser wellness pad. Tell me about option one and why they might want to use one or the other. Would you say someone should use the portal or the white laser here?
Well, if someone was looking at the package and they didn't have a main unit or a Lotus to begin with, getting the Lotus could be a good thing. But you can do a lot with the pad. You can do a lot with the Lotus. Right. You don't have as many of the subtler programs as the portal, but if you also want to have the ability to use it on the body or on stress or on the adrenals, the Lotus is a good way to go. It gives a lot of different versatile ways that you can use it, in addition to also being able to power and drive the pad.
Okay, so people just want to choose. So if somebody's wanting like a more subtle experience, or they're wanting a laser, with package A, you actually get a choice of a Lotus laser or the portal, but you all get the pad. But then option two, I think, is going to be pretty popular because it's about the same price, but here you get the famous scalar wave laser. This is the standard unit that I've used, countless times, countless therapeutic sessions by myself, releasing energies, helping people. Plus they get these things called the probe. And for people that don't know, the standard laser is the one that has that multitude of use, but then also the probe itself can be used for something very special. What can the red probe be used for?
Oh, gee, the red probe, they're great for doing like pressure point work. They're great for pain relief. They're super good for facial rejuvenation. We have all kinds of great protocols for reflexology. You can use them on your hands and your feet. You can use acupressure facelift kind of work. And my favorite, I'm big with using the probes up in the nose. I like shining it up in the nose to balance out and kick on the pineal gland and pituitary glands.
That's right.
Super good.
Yeah, I mean, that is a big deal. Very important. So if you were going to say for option two, who might that be for? The standard person that has discomfort, they want like just the standard laser protocols, they want to be able to get in deep into some of those tissues?
Yeah, absolutely. Someone who is having some injuries and wants to work on, or some other health issues and wants to kind of have a versatile way that they can start to, at the end of the day, our laser system, it's not designed to heal people. It's designed to give people a tool to be able to unwind things more easily, so they don't have to be, you can do it all on your own without a device, but the laser just gives you that ability at the end of a day to be able to say, gee, let me unwind my adrenals and let me unwind my, a knee or whatever, and it just gives you that ability and also to energize things, to start to stimulate cells to start to kick in and reboot and get back on track with doing what they're designed to do.
Yeah, so I mean, a very good general overall would be option 2. You also are going to include something pretty cool here that's pretty valuable. It's the Yogic Essentials Ormus sprays. We talked a little bit about some of these more subtle states. How would we use these Ormus sprays with option 2?
So yeah, the Ormus sprays are really neat. They're without getting into a whole thing on Ormus. People can Google Ormus or monoatomic, but basically it's another state of matter. And we make our own Ormus with a device that I invented and developed that uses plasma. It kind of uses like Tesla, if you've ever seen any of the devices that are shooting off sparks. Well, we have a device that shoots off a different type of plasma, and that plasma, we have a scalar wave inside of it, and we're inducing this Ormus into these. It's like liquid, but it's very high spinning electrons, and so it's super good for helping to stabilize. We use it to help. A lot of people have the energy in the field. For a lot of people, isn't that stable since they've been overly focusing on emotions and stress. And so the key to having a good, strong kind of boundary from all the stuff in the world is having the field, the energetic state of the field, to be super stable and coherent. And so this Ormus high spinning energy helps to kind of strengthen the strands and the energy in the quantum field to keep us more in a nice cocoon cushion from the kind of whatever's going on out there that we don't want to get pulled into.
Option 4 gives people either the Lotus laser or the scalar tuning portal. Plus, you get this standard scalar laser, which is just an all-around powerhouse, and you get the new pad, and you get the new activation charging plate. This is kind of like, if you haven't had any of this, option 4 is going to be one where you can get pretty much everything you need to literally bring in this state of bliss in your life, in your food, in the space around you, in your rest. You can lay the pad down and literally sleep on the pad, infusing the whole body with scalar energy. Tell us about option 4. There's the choice of the Lotus laser or the portal, the standard laser, the red laser probe, and then they get the plate and also the pad.
These are things that we all use like on a regular basis. Like some people use their like plates and their silverware and they're like daily things that they're using. For us, these are things that will be like, oh, okay, we got to use turn the Wi-Fi on. Like we were in a hotel recently, and there was Wi-Fi signal all over, and we were like, okay, get the Wi-Fi on because it helps, right? So they're just alchemy tools that help us to condition the physics. So that's a good overall range of things that you can do a lot with to work on the different kind of, there's different components, right? One's keeping your body unwound and not having pain, right? That's the laser system, right? Then there's the quantum field technologies, the Wi-Fi and the Lotus. That's keeping your energetic state nice and strong. Exactly. Then there's the pad and the portal. That's starting to tune your yogic state to be in bliss. And so each of these things is just another piece to what we consider to be the key kind of facets of living in a nonlinear state where we're connected to who we are as a being from the cosmos and beyond, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And, as you go through these different packages, take a look and see. There's a few other things I want to mention. Option 5 gets you some different laser probes plus a Wi-Fi. But you still get the standard scalar laser as well. The different probes, I know we've talked about them. The red probe, give us the quick rundown, because this is the one that we would use in option 5 for things at the level of the musculature. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is the red probe?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the red one is great for like myofascia, for muscles, nerves, meridians, skin. And if you have infection somewhere, it's great. It just red doesn't go that far in the body. It's super good for getting blood to circulate, right? So really good. That's our most versatile probe. You can use it on like everything.
Wow. And then they're also going to get an option 5, the infrared probe and a blue-violet probe. How do we use those?
So infrared lasers are the go-to for chiros and other folks if you want to work on knees or disc. In other words, infrared, which isn't visible, it's not that visible, yet it goes right through the skin, the muscle, the nerve, and goes deeper into the bone, cartilage, and disc. And what infrared, so basically lasers are sending photons, right, energy. And when all of the lasers do the same thing, they donate photons into the cell to stimulate mitochondrial ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which is cellular energy. Red simply delivers it to the skin, muscle, nerve, soft tissue. Infrared goes right through that stuff and delivers it to the bone, cartilage, and disc. And then violet is unique. The violet spectrum holds way more information, and it's profoundly subtle. So it's really good at clearing emotions and blocked energy and stress. And it's also there's studies that indicate that violet light is really good for longevity, anti-aging, facial rejuvenation. There's some studies that refer to some neat different things out there. So it's just each wavelength kind of delivers energy. And there's 2 applications that we're using with all of our lasers. One is for our pain relief, inflammation, circulation, arthritis, and relaxation of pain, relaxation of tissue. And the other is for more Stillpoint energy and yogic stuff, which is non-medical, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. That is another option. You can check it out there. I want to mention a few more, and then we're going to get to some questions. We're getting a lot of them. Option 6 and 7 are just like the master packages. If you want to have literally almost everything, these are some incredible packages. One of the big distinctions is you're going to get actually 2-sized plates that you can use for different things. Tell us about that, because some people may want the larger plate or also the smaller plate, but then you're also going to be throwing in some of your Scalar Ormus Alchemy Super Foods kit. Tell me about those 2 different things, because those are pretty powerful.
Yeah. So I'm so sorry. I got a little blissed out right there. Everyone drop in the Stillpoint for a moment. I totally got blissed out there. So what was I heard the part about the superfoods. What was the tell me again, this kit? I'm sorry, Darius.
Oh, it's okay. The other mats, I'm not a map, there's a larger plate and then a smaller plate. There's the addition.
Oh yeah, the large I'm sorry, I got you. I heard you. I heard it. Yeah. So the two plates, basically one of them is like 4 inches by 7 inches. Yeah. And the other one's like 7 inches by 11 inches. And these are made from Vermont, beautiful wood. We stain them. Everything's totally non-toxic. And the small one is great for drinks and like remedies and like really small things. And the big one is designed so if you come back with your bag of groceries or you just put it on there, if you want to put, a big crystal on it or a big jug of water, they're just kind of, a nice variety. And the big one's really good too if you want to like put it and put your feet on it. We love it. It's so nice for it. We didn't plan on it, yet one day we were playing around with it when we first made it. And we just found it has a super different type of effect, really around just energizing the etheric field of the body. It's just very, very, just kind of different and unique. But you can basically tune anything you want on it. You just put it on and tune up you understand that with this, this is different than a lot of other technologies. What this is doing is we're tuning, and it's important to have a reference for people of what I mean when I say, so in alchemy, there's 4 states, right? Solid, liquid, gas, ether. The difference of those states is the electron spin, right? Solid stuff, the electron's spinning really slow, kind of dense, right? So it's solid. Liquid, electrons start to spin faster, right? Gas, they go faster. When they go really fast, they shift into ether or plasma, and that goes into the 4th state of matter. Alchemists are all about how do we take dense things and shift them into a subtler state of matter. Yogic, shamanism, alchemy, they're really all the same thing. How do we take physical things and without losing the form, how do we open it to the subtler states of energy and states of who we are, right? So Ormus is this somewhat newly discovered thing where they found that certain elements go into this other state where the electrons are spinning so fast they go into what's called a Cooper pairing or Brownian motion. They go into another state, and they call that monoatomic or ormus. And it's my view, I've been into this stuff for years, and it's my view that the human body is made up of these high-spinning ether elements. The lymphatic system, very high-spinning electrons, cerebral spinal fluid, sexual fluids, the brain, the substances in the brain, the white matter. To me, it's all loaded with high-spinning. Now, this high-spinning substance is what tunes us to these other planes of different dimensions of high-spinning energy. So the more dense people get with pesticides and chlorine and all these denser things that people are putting in their bodies and using soaps, it lowers the electron spin. So to me, when I'm working on my own situation, everything I'm doing, from the foods that I eat to lasers, I spin our lasers in a certain way that kind of activates that high spinning. That's why I love blue-violet lasers. They activate that. So all these devices are designed to help be devices to tune that electron state so that our electrons are resonating in this high spin state. As opposed, it's like if you have a car, right, and it's been under the sun is stripping the electrons from the metals. Everything is made of electrons, right? Elements, and everything here is dust from stars and galaxies that's spinning in different electron spins, which is like the language of the universe, right? These different electron spins are the elements, and they make up this dust from the stars and the galaxies, make up our bodies, they make up everything here. And so, to me, integrity of our physical experience is based on the state of the electron. If someone, like a car that's been getting beat on with sunlight and weather, it starts to rust, right? And then the electrons are getting stripped out of those elements. That's what's happening with rust, right? So the key to health, longevity, from my perspective, is, and this is why Stillpoint, everyone drop again here into Stillpoint. Stillpoint is saying, let's relax and allow electron spins to come back into their proper spin state. Everything we're doing here is to get back here so that we can tune. Everything can start to get the energy of the universe, starts to tune everything like an instrument, right? We want to tune it right back. So all the cells, elements, everything is DNA, everything is tuned back up into the integrity and coherence of our essence and being.
Beautiful.
I hope that answered that question. So these plates basically are a way that we can take things that come to us and detune the not the good spin state and tune it with some good helpful spin states to help us. And so specifically, the way that we make the scalar circuits in these plates is designed not just to send energy to these different substances, it's designed to activate the electron spin coherence. Our other devices do that a bit. This is specifically designed to tune the ether and the high spinning electron state, if that makes sense.
Wow. So inside of the actual plate, there's something going on there to tune that ether into that high spinning space. So you get that space into the things you're consuming. So very amazing, and I think absolutely important in a world where you want to hold higher vibration with so many things being affected by certain agendas and decisions and things that may not always be in alignment with the natural higher states and the holistic states. I mean, that is really where we are going in 5D Earth, and we've just got to bypass some of this other stuff and make it through to get there. And these are incredible tools to do so. And I know you know what I'm talking about, Paul. And I mean, the other thing I want to mention is we've got deep descriptions here. Who is this for? Because it's not just about pain anymore. It's not just about wanting a certain state in your life. It's not just about wanting to heal a tooth or heal a lifelong injury. It may also be about longevity, because now with these charging plates, we are literally infusing something into the things that we consume, and in essence, shifting that polarity so that we can hold a much higher vibration and ultimately be in that state and see us through to the golden age.
Absolutely. Yeah, you said it beautifully. That's basically the approach that I take, and I often suggest people be really clear what you're doing here. And so for me, I'm super clear. Like I'm here to steward my condition in the practice, the subtle yogic and mystic practice. And when I interact and do things in the outer, my goal is to help anyone who wants to dissolve the outer things and come back to their attention, to own their attention, and to cultivate their condition and return to the source essence of who they truly are, so that they can do what they're here to do. And so I make things, I share all of our Stillpoint seminars, retreats are free. We do events everywhere for years. They're always free. And the goal of them is to give tools to anybody who's ready and wants more tools to be able to kind of assist in transitioning into this new season and to dissolve the challenges and come back to their essential state of being. And the devices are the same. So anybody, we sell, it's amazing coming to our events. It's such a diverse. It's people that show up that are like, wow, someone brought me here and this was just the right thing, and I totally, they use this, and people use this experience of Stillpoint. So whether you buy things, whether you don't, you are experts at this state. So use it. Take a moment after this, drop in, and every day take a moment, carve out, push back on all those things, and cultivate your attention and your condition of being.
Yeah, man, I love that. Well, it's all here. There's stories, videos, everything's shown there. We've got special pricing as well. You'll only find it here. They're unique packages, and they're deeply discounted because of our beautiful relationship with Paul and Lily over the years. It's at uwellsrevolution.com/scalar22. And then I want to get to some questions because we got a bunch of questions coming in from some beautiful folks around the world. I know we're going a little long, but there's a lot to do here. And hey, the more we keep Paul around, the more Stillpoint we get to experience, man, because you always change my state. And so, that's the power of one person holding resonance. And I think everybody here, we all know we all have that power, and we can hold it, tune it. I know, Paul, sometimes I hear you working with some of the lasers. I can hear the clicking. So he's using this as well to keep his energy field tuned so that the world doesn't affect him, so he affects the world. And I love that, man. I'm using them too. They're always by my desk. I want to get to a few questions. One person's writing in. Dominique says, what could you say or do to help me address upper back and shoulder pain? She's in Vancouver, Canada. Dominique.
Oh, great. Hi, Dominique. We have lots of, for years we've been doing events out in the west coast of Canada from all over Canada, from Winnipeg all the way out to Vancouver. Lots of folks there using our products. So the most important thing is just simply starting off putting the main unit on unwind over the area, and simply allowing the tissue to start to the cranial rhythm to unwind, and to allow the tissue to dissolve, basically to relax, unwind, and dissolve. And then, of course, unwinding the adrenals is super helpful. A lot of people will get a laser or get a session and work on their issue, and I always tell people to also train your adrenals, because if you work on the issue and you don't do the adrenals, if they're pushing adrenaline, it keeps the body tight. So a little bit also to trend your condition into Stillpoint, but absolutely just get a main unit and get it on there and start to. Most people have issues, right? And they don't an injury or a situation, and it's not always easy to turn them around. So when they get worse, then they have to go to a doctor or someone. Yeah. And this is about every day saying, okay, well, we have some tools here. What can we do to try to change I'm big in our seminars. I always say for years, we have to be able to change the physics of whatever we're dealing with, right? An emotion, an injury. We got to have tools to say, okay, how do we shift it? It really, everything to me is of one or two states, right? So there's issues where people are holding on to an issue, right? That's a compressed, tight, fixated state. Then if that situation, and I always say it links up with, physics, right? Positive, negative, neutrality, right? In the universe, the whole language to me is positive, negative, neutral. Anyone comes with an injury that's kind of tight or whatever, that's negative, right? Or positive, it's fixated. If you can get that compression, that fixation to start to unwind, it's like the rubber band, right? Fixated, then it starts to unwind. The unwinding is negative, right? It's unwinding. Once it unwinds, it goes neutral. So when I work with people, I never try to fix or heal. I stay neutral. I find if I stay neutral, everyone make sure, take a breath in, shift, right, reset, get right back here, hold for a moment. When you're in neutral, your things will start to unwind and trend in neutral, and the people you interact with, you'll be able to, through osmosis, help them to start to shift, unwind to neutral. So then people come to me with a knee, or when we do expos, We were in New York City this past weekend at the Hotel New Yorker where Tesla lived. There was a big expo there, and we went in,
that's cool.
and people come, and I stay neutral. I put the laser. They have knee, they have shoulder. I don't try to do anything. I just put them on unwind, and I allow the tissue to start to unwind until it comes back to neutral. It's the person that heals things. Their condition of neutral is what heals things. I only use these devices to try to help shift and get people back into that state of neutral.
Man, I love that. Yeah, I want to get to a few more questions. There's detailed breakouts here. I've used these for years. I mean, we first got in touch with each other, and I got to tell you, I've used them from everything from stress to like having heart palpitations, which wasn't a physical. It was more of an emotional, like just anxiety state. Putting it on my heart. I've used it to clear energy in my shoulder. I've used it to clear my wife's headaches. I mean, we've used them for everything. I'm going to get to a question today from Glennis. She says, greetings and thank you for taking my question. Having some inflammation challenges in the body and detoxing heavy metals.
Yeah. Well, the first thing is, part of, for us, we use Stillpoint as our place to reset. And I always tell people, when you get to Stillpoint, you make your decisions from there. I tell everybody, get to Stillpoint and you vet out. First you get to that place where your perception. See, people that are fixated, they're working. Their personality is driving. It's always on. When you start to say, well, hold on here, we're going to unravel that a bit, and we come back here to Stillpoint, and we're resting here. Now our perception is who we are. It's not the fixated. It's really a figment of people's imagination. They haven't even been on planet that long, and they're holding on to this fixation. And it's not even accurate, right? Who are we? Our body's been new numerous occasions. It's not even accurate. So who we are is our ability right here to rest here and kind of our perception of our experience, our reality. And it's more relative. It's not a fixated thing. So from this place, you can kind of consider, well, what if I do this? And just see, does your condition shut down or does it expand a little bit? So we make all our big decisions by vetting it for what's real and true for our experience through the experience of Stillpoint. So that's the first thing I would say. And then two, inflammation and everyone, and let me just say that I think the big decisions are relative different to everyone. There's no black and whites in the universe. And so people have to come to express what's real for them. And so Stillpoint to me is, and for me, Stillpoint it's totally accurate for me. It's always spot on. Because it's my state. Stillpoint it's not like kinesiology. It's not like a pendulum. It's not testing the polarity, right? Those things are like, oh, it goes this way, positive, negative, or oh, it does this, or even other people use their ideas to decide. To me, thoughts, they're not even accurate. They're like one moment, one thing is one way, then the next moment's another. I don't use that. To me, thinking is so overrated on this planet. It's astonishing to me. So it just doesn't, and studies show excessive thinking shuts down the pineal gland, which is the key thing that yogis like, because it's what puts the compounds that make us feel like we're connected to the cosmos and blissed out. So again, there's different ways to vet things out, and to me, Stillpoint is opening. When does it go neutral? Which is basically saying, when is our being in alignment? When is our being in the equation? And so for me, don't if you're going to try using Stillpoint like that as you rest in Stillpoint. You consider something. We did it a little bit a while ago, and you just see, does it expand? Does it contract? If something contracts, I say, oh, no, that's not the right thing for me for right now. I don't say it's bad. I just say, for me, it's more polarized than if I consider something else. And I tell people, use this tool of Stillpoint response to vet things, but start with small things. Don't start with really big decisions. Get some trust for it first, that, hey, that was, like if you're going to eat at a restaurant, oh, no, it's contracting. I'm not going to eat. And then you use it for little choices and see if it is accurate. For me, it's spot on. I use it for everything. It's all I use is when do things, I walk around and I'm going here and my field's shutting down. I just look over here and I'm just following everything that dissolves me back into the universe and beyond. For me, that's the only thing. Foods I eat things that dissolve me. So back to the inflammation. There's unwinding the adrenals to me is super helpful for anyone dealing. To me, adrenaline makes the body hold on to things. And so unwinding the adrenals just opens up the body to start to not hold on to things. And then there's some other easy things you can do to kind of kick in. As the body is more neutral, it often will kind of start to bring down inflammation. Inflammation is an overpressure, basically, overheating, overpressure, and things are so we want to get to the root of what is that underlying causative factor. And to me, good starting place is getting the adrenals unwound and getting back here to still point, so there's more space, if that makes sense.
Yeah, very good. It's all about space, the decisions in our life, whether we vibrate with something, whether we don't. If we're vibrating with fear, vibrating with love, vibrating with wholeness, vibrating with this energy of just 0 point, all of that is going to bring us more of what is in alignment to what we are. And, Paul, when I think about these scalar waves going and they're non-directional, I think to myself, like, they kind of just go up, right? They're going to go up to our highest place, and it's like we become that highest place.
Yeah, it's always nice, Darius, to be here. You have such nice energy, and your tribe, you all are doing good work. For me, it's always an honor to get to visit with people that are interested in their growth and in their transformation, and in doing good for their experience, so they can help here. Our world needs people who want to help, and to me, the help that is to me really significant. It's good to help on the outer. It's also good, as is the story of all the great mystics and saints and teachers from around the planet, to kind of deepen our experience of who we truly are, so we can, through osmosis, help other people to feel free and comfortable to not be associated to the outer pressures and things. Well, in closing, I was just, everyone take another breath in, I guess. Take one nice breath in. Stop at the top and hold for one moment again here. Just kind of rest here. Feels like holding the breath. And when you rest here, let the breath keep going, yet you stay here. As you rest here, you can kind of feel your cells fill up with nitric oxide. For me, when I rest here, I can kind of feel like nitric oxide kind of filling in. And just hold here for a moment. When I hold here, I kind of like when you fill your air up with tire and you put the thing on the nozzle there, and if it's too much to one side, comes out. If it's too much to the other, if you hold it right in the middle with care, the tire fills. When I hold still point, I kind of hold it here, and I'm just holding it here as I feel kind of this subtle energy kind of fill in the space. I don't do it for super long. I'll hold it here, and then at a certain moment, like right there, I felt my condition shift, and as I noticed, right, it just shifted, and now I'm in the quantum field. See if you notice, right? Now I'm not holding still point anymore. I'm more, the quantum field, the energy envelope around the body is kind of holding me. Yet I'm in still point, yet I'm resting. See if you notice that a little, where you're charged up. You're in this little envelope of energy, this cushion of. I'll show you one last thing that's really helpful too, just to finish off here. If you squeeze the root at the base of the spine, is a muscle, the perineum, same muscle you used to go to the restroom. Just squeeze that root and hold it in a little bit, and then out. Relax it. Same muscle you used to go to the restroom. Squeeze it in, and then out. This is what we do, and we call the activation in our seminars. And then squeeze it in, and then out. Now, as it's coming out, stop right in the middle, right in between the in and the out, and hold it for a moment. Just holding it. Yogis, Taoists say it's like holding an egg. Not too tight or you crush, not too loose or you drop. Just hold it gently. Relax and hold that root, that base at the perineum. Just hold it gently. When you hold it, you might feel, for me, right when I hold it, I feel energy start to go up the spine a little bit. We're resting in still point, yet we're holding that root in, out, and then hold it. You might feel energy start to go up the spine a little bit. This is the medical symbol. This is the scalar nadis, channels. Place the tongue at the roof of the mouth. You might feel like placing the tongue at the roof of the mouth. Hold that root like an egg, not too tight or you crush, not too loose or you drop. And energy starts to come up, tongue at the roof. When the tongue is at the roof, you might have a little saliva that starts to come out. Yogis say that when that saliva comes out, it's loaded with ormus. It's loaded with high-spinning electrons and subtle compounds from the glands that start to put yogis into a into a state of very subtle kind of bliss or ambrosia. Energy might go up to the top of the crown, lotus at the top of the crown, and then simply rest here in this subtle. This is a little sample. Every day I tell people, take a moment, drop Stillpoint, open the quantum field. Can you hear me, Darius?
Oh yeah, man! I just felt that awareness kick in.
Oh,
there.
good. I couldn't tell you couldn't hear me anyway.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you can. This is how we tune our condition to start to flower. We call this flowering, where we start to open this. So once we open Stillpoint, drop the Stillpoint, clear some things, and then the purpose of clearing one or two things every day is so that we can get to this place. And this has a huge impact on the physiology, on our alchemy, on our longevity. I can't say enough. This is like the key thing that keeps us nice and vibrant with the cosmos. And so you all are good at this. I can tell you all are experts. So you take a moment, if not later or tomorrow, and just drop in and rest. And there's no right way, there's no wrong way. Just have fun with it. And it's been a super great honor and pleasure to be here with you all, and Darius, with you and the work you do. Thank you so much for inviting and having us here.
Oh, absolutely, brother. Thank you for making this technology available for people in the world. And a final question, for people that are feeling Stillpoint now, why might they want to get a laser? Why might they want to have this in their life to take to really just kind of like another level, I would say?
Yeah, so sorry, I for a moment realized the question was coming to me somehow. So yeah, I mean, it's just, I never want anyone to feel pressure. I tell people often say, should I get it? I say, well, drop in Stillpoint and see if it feels, use Stillpoint to vet out if it's the right fit. And yet to me, I've had people tell me, I had this guy in Florida who had a lot of money and fancy cars. He said, this is, in Shaka, if you watch Shaka's video, she says it so well in the video. She's lovely, Shaka Khan, and she's been using our products since about when we made them. And she says at the end of her video, she said, "This is my best friend." People that have it's a great tool to help us to get to this place and be strong. And you can do it without it, and yet having every little thing that can help. It's just a tool that can help if this is something that feels right for you. But again, no pressure to see what's a good fit.
I love that. Yeah, well, thank you so much, Paul. All the technologies are there. Know we love you. You matter. You are a true gift to the planet. I believe that, and I love you. Take care, everyone. We'll see you in the next session. Bye-bye.